with Gene Saunders, Titleist Fitting Manager for Southeast Asia. How are you doing today, Gene?
Going well, thank you.
We're here to talk a little bit about the new Titleist 714 irons. Gene, take us through what are some of the key new features of the 714 irons.
Yeah, so with the new 714s in the AP1 and AP2, our three main engineering goals were we wanted to improve flight, improve forgiveness, improve feel.
Okay.
So setting out with those goals in terms of forgiveness, what we're looking to do, is improve the MOI on both of these irons. So we're able to do that with the positioning of the tungsten in both these. I already had tungsten in the previous models.
That's right.
What we were able to do is reposition the weight a little bit.
Okay.
In the longer irons, move a lot of the weight from higher up to lower down and further out. So the further out and the lower down we can get it, particularly further out, the more we can increase the MOI, which reduces the club's resistance to twisting. Okay. So we get much more forgiveness. Across the board.
All right. Now I've got an old 710 iron here, which still performs very well for me. Now, how would this first generation AP1 compare to the current generation AP1s?
Okay, so when we first, started off with AP1 and AP2, we had the same design all the way through. So now, looking at those design goals that we had, flight, feel, and forgiveness. In terms of flight now, we have a progressive blade length through both these. And also the center of gravity starts down a lot lower in the longer irons because most of us want to get our long irons up. And as we go up through the set, the center of gravity moves further up. So I guess they're much more progressive as we've gone along. We've made them more forgiving. Kept the workability in AP2. AP1, so much the guys that use AP1, they're not looking for the same amount of workability often as AP2.
So there's no progressive blade length on the AP1s?
On both models, yeah.
Oh, there are both models. Just rewind a little bit. Tell us a little bit about what progressive blade length actually means.
Okay, so as the blade length, as we go through the set, the blade length just gets a little shorter.
Okay, so that means the shorter the iron, the shorter the blade length.
That's right, yeah. We all like to have that comforting feel of something bigger to look at in our longer irons, but when we get into our short irons, quite often they're the ones that we want to score with and be a little more precise with, and that bigger look can sometimes take away from that.
That's right.
So a lot of the feedback we got was, we love it, that it's big, so it looks forgiving, but let's slim it up a little bit. So in the AP1s, we've kind of slimmed it up all the way along. It gets a little smaller, the sole gets a little narrower, same with the AP2. The top line gets a little thinner in AP1 as we go through. So to help give that look all the way through the set.
Okay, what about the offset?
Okay, so with the offset in the new heads compared to the previous model, we have the same amount of offset. But what we've done is, everybody knows that they need offset, but nobody wants to look at it.
That's right.
So to combat that a little, what we've done is we've just improved the hosel blend, so it blends in a little slower. So visually, it looks like there's less offset. So which I think for most people is what they'd like to see.
All right. Shaft options. I know I've got an NS Pro 950 on this one, which I believe comes also with a graphite shaft. What are some of the shaft options for the AP1s and the AP2s? Okay,
so with the AP1 model, we have two stock shafts. So we have a new graphite offering, which is the Kurakage from Mitsubishi Rayon. So the Kurakage is a flighted shaft graphite, which really suits with the design goals. Again, we want to lift the long irons up and try and flatten those short irons out for most people, have them coming through a more of a similar flight window all the way through.
All right.
So in terms of that, it works fantastic for that. And when we in the testing against the previous model, this one was found to be preferred for across the field as well, which was great.
And the weight on it, sorry?
The weight is 65 grams.
65 grams.
So we have the 65 gram and the 50 gram in the ladies option there.
All right.
The other stock shaft that we'll be having for AP1 is the NS Pro 950.
Okay.
In AP2 we'll have 3 stock shafts this year.
All right.
So we'll have the always popular dynamic gold for the lower ball flight. And the same as last model, we'll have the NS Pro 950 as well for the other end of the scale, the lighter weight, higher ball flight. But as a performance golf brand, we saw a gap there in between the two, and so what we want to do is fill that in terms of weight. So we have a middle weight shaft between the two and a middle flight shaft between the two. So we've added in the 105T from Nippon. So which runs at about 113 grams, which pretty much splits the middle, and it's just sort of a mid to high ball flight shaft. So we don't have it right in the middle for ball flight, but most people, that's a generalisation, but most people look at that mid flight shaft as sort of looking for something maybe a little higher up in the ball flight. So we've brought that in as an extra shaft option this time, which we think will be help fill that gap and be nice and successful for all players out there.
Now, once we've decided on spending some good money on one of these fantastic irons, we'd like to get it fit. So would you like to talk us through a little bit about the Titleist iron fitting and what actually we try to achieve with it?
Yeah, so obviously we feel our clubs are fantastic. That's why we put them out. But the one way we feel for most players we can make them better is to fit them for the person, make them suit the player, individual feel in the player's individual game.
Absolutely.
So by doing that, what we want to do first off is we'll go through a little bit of an interview with the player, have a chat about their strengths, their weaknesses of the game, what they'd like to see improve. And then we'll get them to hit their current irons because we want to make sure that we can improve the performance for them.
Of course.
And from there we'll have a bit of a discussion about the model that we think is probably best, along obviously with what the player would like to see too. We'll go along and make sure we have the correct length for the player, the correct lie angle, and we'll work on getting the right shaft, getting the correct grip size.
And I presume you have like a full permutation of lies and shafts and...
We do. The new fitting head actually in all the way across the new 714 family is fantastic. We have less heads in our fitting cart now, but we can go to more lie angles. And we have a huge array of shafts. I think our custom program is one of the strongest in the
How many different custom shafts do you?
Wow, you're testing me out now. We have a lot.
More than two, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely more than two. So we have, just as we do in our wood family, we have pretty much a really wide range there. There's some stuff that we don't offer, but if you looked at everything that's fairly mainstream and then on the edges of that, certainly we'll be offering it.
Okay, I'm sure we'll be able to find something for the player.
Yeah, hope so.
And in terms of, so you go through sort of like the assessment process, and then you have the player hit some balls with the new irons in different permutations. And how do you monitor the flight of the ball? Do you use any sort of like launch monitor?
Yeah, we sure do. For myself, I use TrackMan. So I use TrackMan. So as well as what I'm seeing, and obviously what the player is seeing, because it's their club, so they want to make a decision themselves. But we use the technology certainly to validate my opinions and to show the player why we want the ball to fly the way we do. From them, it's really up to them from there to go ahead and make the decision if they feel that they're going to get the added value out of their purchase. For the other members of our fitting network, some are using TrackMan, some are using GC2, some are using Flight Scope, but everybody will have a launch monitor there to help out the player to make their best pick.
Now, it's always a bit of a chicken and an egg. Do you buy the iron first and have it fitted, or do you go for a fitting process first to figure out if there is some sort of combination for the player?
No, you definitely go for the fitting first. You go for the fitting first, and then you go ahead and buy the irons. Because once you've bought the irons, to change them, then you've got to go and buy new shafts. You've got to you've got to go somewhere and get your heads bent. You've got to maybe get your grips changed, and then because of that, when you start changing around grips and things like that, shafts, then you start throwing around swing weights. So,
that's right. Certainly.
And if you change them aftermarket after you bought them, then it becomes a little bit of an issue sometimes with warranties too, because they haven't been done by Titleist approved. Always get fitted first. Save yourself a lot of money, a lot of time, and you'll get set up.
Great advice.
Hey,
thanks, G. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.